Making decisions and taking actions that are aligned with your best interests in mind, and doing so in a way that will intentionally help you create an amazing, fulfilling life can't easily happen without knowing your core values. It's a little like a ship that's trying to get into shore in a raging storm without a lighthouse to guide the way. The ship will flail about in all different directions, and it risks going way out of the way or getting washed up on a rocky shore. So in today's video, together we are going to walk you through a process to discover your core values. I'll be sharing with you several lists of common core values, and we'll go through these together to help you discover yours, as well as a couple other exercises. Then we'll bump these up against what you choose to make sure that they're really true to who you are and a core as a person. And finally, I will give you some tips about how to use them as a daily tool for creating an amazing, fulfilling life. Because honestly, if you don't, it won't do you a whole lot of good to figure them out if you don't have a good process for putting them to use. So also a heads up that I've created for you a free downloadable that walks through this process as well, in case you want to revisit it at a later point in time. And it also goes a step further to guide you through how to find your inner purpose as well. So I mentioned that you may want to revisit these exercises from time to time, and that's not because I think your core values really change to who you are as a person, but at certain chapters of your life, there may be other core values that show up for you and may be more impactful to you at that point in your life as well. So before we get started, I just want to take a quick second to introduce myself in case you're new here. I'm Julie with JMB Living and the JMB Living Journals, and I'm the lead motivator in the Art of Intentional Living community. And I'm someone who believes that you have what it takes to create a happy and fulfilling life. So if you're tired of feeling like you are going through the motions in life and you're lacking fulfillment, feeling like there must be more to life, and you don't know where to start, then you are in the right place, my friend. I have been where you are, and I know that you just need a few tools in your toolbox to help you start taking intentional action to create a fulfilling life. And I know you can do this, and it's my mission to show you how. So if it feels like I'm talking to you, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss out any future videos that might also be helpful to you as well. Okay, let's get started with today's tool for your intentional living toolbox. So first, core values. What are they? Why are they important? Why do you want to know them? Well, your core values are the traits and characteristics or beliefs that you hold to be true and essential to you at your very core. When you use them as guiding principles for your life, you will make decisions that are more aligned with who you are authentically as a person, and you'll take actions that are aligned with what you most value in your life. So as I mentioned before, absent this, your actions may be more chaotic, synonymous with whatever crisis is going on in your life at the time, whatever emotions and thoughts you have at that time to deal with them. So, but if you really want to live an intentional life, an amazing, fulfilling life, you need to know what these core values are so that you can help let them guide you to the decisions that you want to make. So let's dig in and find yours. You're going to want a pencil and paper. If you use a journal, you may want to grab your journal. So if you don't have these with you right now, just go ahead and hit pause on your video and then just come right back to me. Okay, so let's begin with a little writing exercise. If you have your journal, you may want to write in there, but you can also just put it on a piece of paper. So first I want you to close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths to center yourself and begin to access your own inner wisdom. So going ahead and shifting your attention inward, you may want to place one or both hands over your heart and intend to connect your thoughts from the space of your heart. So I want you to envision what it would look like, what a perfect life would look like to you. Where would you be? Who would be there with you? What would you be doing? So go ahead and jot down any thoughts that feel good to you And then I want you to write down 3 words that you would use to summarize or describe this vision of life. Don't overthink it, just quickly write down whatever comes to your mind. And if it's more than 3 words, that's okay too. This may be really good insight into your core values. So now we're gonna go ahead and try another technique of identifying them. Let's take a look at several lists of common core values. And I want you to just simply scan through each list and jot down any of the words that you see that seem to have like an emotional pull or tug to you. Once again, try not to think about it too much. Your emotions and thinking from your heart space instead of your head is preferential when you're trying to access your inner wisdom. Now I want you to take a look at all the words you've written down through both of these processes and choose just 5 or 6 at the very most. And again, try not to think too much about it, just whichever ones you feel most pulled to. And if you find this really challenging, just think about if you absolutely had to choose one over the other, which one would you choose? You may want to think of situations in your life where these 2 values may be in conflict, and if you were forced to choose one, which would you choose? So I'm curious, which one of the words that you have written down here right now is resonating with you most? Just drop me a note in the comments. Let me know what's going on. One of my core values, my top one that's on my list is wellness. Also connection is another one. Okay, so we're also going to give these a little test, and I want you to ask yourself a few questions. So the first one is, would I sacrifice money to stay in alignment with this core value? Would I be willing to commit time to find alignment with this core value? And will this still be important to me in 10 or 20 years? So knowing the answers to these questions can kind of help you realize if this is really true to who you are. Because if the answer to all these questions is yes, then that's a pretty good indication that this is one of your true core values. So lastly here today, I'd like for us to take a look at how to use them. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I use my core values. One of them is in using my journal. I have at the very front inner side of my journal, I list out my core values. That way, when I'm using my journal, as soon as I flip it open each day, that's the first thing that I look at. So I do that while I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for the day. And so that way, I think it helps me make sure that I make decisions that are aligned with what's important to me. So as an example, with wellness being on the top of my list here, on the days where I'm not committed to work out, for instance, so when I've not already signed up to work with my personal trainer, for instance, and it's something that I have scheduled, for instance, a lot of times I just don't feel like working out. But to be honest, when I read that in the morning, it gives me like this little bit of extra motivation. It's like, okay, this is your core value. You may not feel like doing this, but you're going to go ahead and do it anyway, because this is what's important to you over the long span of your life. So that's one thing. Connection is, as I shared with you, is another one of my core values. So with that, it reminds me to take a little extra time. I often get very focused with work, and I could just go. I really enjoy my work, but the reading that connection reminds me to take time to share with my husband Kurt, to reach out and call my mother, to take a break, call a friend, to share within my community. So it's like little daily reminders to yourself to make sure that what you're doing each day is really aligned with what you want in your life and the characteristics and qualities that you want for your life to have. So another thing that I recommend that you do with your core values is to consider your projects that you have going on right now, your goals, your dreams, your plans, and see if these align with what your core values are. Is what you're striving for in your life aligned with these? And then also do the same with your current activities. You know, when you look at what you're going to be doing in the week ahead, are these in alignment with your core values as well? So if there's any areas where the answer when you ask that question to yourself is no, then the second question to yourself is, well, what can I do differently in the future to live more in alignment and to do things more in alignment with these core values? Maybe you just have to shift something just a little bit in some way, kind of like I was describing with making sure I don't get too caught up at work, making sure I take breaks to reach out and connect with people. So before we wrap up here today, I just want to remind you to grab the free downloadable at the link that's in the description for you. And I hope you found today's video helpful. If you have, will you please help me share it with more people by giving the video a thumbs up. And if you have a friend that you think might really benefit from this too, I'd be so happy if you would share it with your friend as well. I know a lot of times I have felt in the past really kind of reticent to share with people, but you know, when I think about it, I'm so thankful for the things that my friends have shared with me. Oftentimes, you know, I don't end up utilizing them, or they're not something that necessarily resonates with me, but I have found so much useful information just by what my friends have shared with me. So I know that that's one way that you can truly make a difference in people's lives. So as always, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of time with me here today. And I hope you create yourself a most amazing week.